0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, leptospirosis alert. And in the second watch, food safety after the storm. For our social media question, we ask, have you noticed an increase in sanitation issues in your community since Hurricane Melissa? What concerns do you have about diseases like leptospirosis? We're asking you to share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I quote.
This morning's I quote: prevention is better than cure, especially when the cure may come too late.
Good morning, Darren.
Good morning.
Yes,
morning.
welcome again. Good to see you in the driver's seat again.
Thank you. Thank you.
All the best.
Alrighty.
An interesting quote there. In other words, safeguarding ourselves now is far easier than fixing the damage afterward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first watch after this break.
We drink it, we bathe in it, we depend on it. But water is so much more than a physical necessity. Across the Bible and in cultures worldwide, water heals, destroys, and purifies. Steve sits down with Daniel Dodd and Bishop Garth Minot to explore the deep spiritual significance of water. From baptism to deliverance, from ancient river deities to modern anointed water practices, how does this simple element carry so much power? And what does Scripture truly reveal? The water on the earth today has been on the earth for millions of years. Join us Tuesday, November 25 at 10 a.m. for a thought-provoking, refreshing dive into the power of the waters on The Rock, here on the family station, Love 101.
Where are the campus lights? Students are strapped up in a price.
November is Youth Month, so we are celebrating the achievements of our young people and empowering them. This Tuesday on Campus Connection, we will be focusing on volunteering in a time of crisis. Jamaicans, whether young or old, are known for giving back and making a difference. Youth are sharing skills, energy, and time in support of rebuilding our beloved nation. Join us as special guests, Force Executive Officer in the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force, Colonel Nicholas Taylor, and Head Officer for Engineer Training and Operations, also with the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force, and the JCCF rep in the National Emergency Operations Center, Major Paul Campbell, as they discuss how the cadets of the force are advancing Jamaica's road to recovery
leptospirosis, and how can persons become infected by it?
Okay, so leptospirosis is caused by a bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
And bacteria thrives in damp conditions. So rodents are the main source of transmission, and when they multiply, they infect themselves and they contaminate areas that we have access to. So they will pass the urine, the feces, in the water. Person to person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really the rodents and the animals, and if you're in contact with the contaminated waters.
Yes.
True.
Yeah. Professor Bailey with us? Professor Bailey not here, is it? Okay. Still with you, Dr. Biseso Mackenzie. What are the latest statistics in regards to the disease in Jamaica, and why is it regarded as an outbreak? Is there a tipping point when you arrived at that conclusion or decision?
Okay, so the outbreak is really because there's an increase in the number of cases. There is one disaster event that would have led to the proliferation of the conditions that would have lead to increased transmission, and in a temporal relationship from the time we're seeing these increased number of cases to that disaster, there's a definite increase in the numbers, and so that's why it is an outbreak. Now, persons may think of outbreaks in terms of whether they're connected.
Mm-hmm.
The cases may not be connected one to the other, meaning that we weren't infected by the same source of water. But in terms of the temporal relation to the hurricane and the increase in the number of cases that are seen at this time compared to what we have traditionally seen, even post other disasters and what has been happening over the year,
Mm-hmm.
then there's a definite increase, and we would have declared an outbreak. Declaration of an outbreak points attention to the situation and helps to rally the efforts to reduce transmission and to prevent further spreading.
So the latest figures, think I heard 6 deaths, days ago. What's the latest?
So first, if we look year to date, meaning that do have transmission of leptospirosis right throughout the year,
Mm-hmm.
because we do have rodents, and they do carry the bacteria. So from year to November 22nd, we would have had 91 cases that
Mhm.
were suspected cases.
Mm-hmm.
And, of that number, we would have had 11 deaths. And since Hurricane Melissa, and we're using this from the 30th of October because the lowest incubation period is 2 days. So if we assume that persons were infected on the 28th, which is, possible, then if we lose the smallest incubation period, then we would attribute any case that is newly diagnosed after the 30th of October to be related to the hurricane and to the conditions that have arisen or gotten worse since then. And then we would have had 42 of the 91 suspected cases from year to date. 42 are post Melissa. And in that 42, we have 9 deaths.
Oh, it's 9 now. Wow. Any demographics that of interest that we can look at in terms of course, gender and age, perhaps even location?
Certainly, we are seeing more cases in St. James and in St. Anne.
St. Anne?
Yes.
Okay.
4 cases would be in St. James, where we would have had 17 cases, suspected cases from St. James, and 8 cases from St. Anne. Now, we have other cases from St. Elizabeth, Hanover, Trelawney, and Westmoreland. And 1 case St. Mary, 1 St. Catherine, 1 Manchester. So you see that it is really the parishes that have been more or less in the direct path of hurricane, that where you would have had more damage, so therefore leading to more garbage accumulation, more breeding sites, and of course more pooling of water on the ground still, that we are seeing the cases coming from. So that's in terms of location. Now, in terms of the age and the sex of the person, males are where our cases predominate. I have of the I think 42 cases where I have 40 males and 2 females. So, it suggests that the males are mostly out there in the contaminated waters. And then we are seeing more of the older age group, the over 60
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and this is the first watch. We are looking on the whole matter of this bacterial disease known as leptospirosis. And we have been learning so far that it thrives in damp conditions. And also, there are 9 reported deaths post Melissa associated with this disease. We have online Dr. Alverston Bailey, Professor of Occupational Health and Safety at UTEC, and Dr. Jacqueline Bisesor Mackenzie, who's the Chief Medical Officer. Welcome back to you, Dr. Mackenzie. Welcome, Professor Bailey.
Morning to you, sir. In fact, I'm actually no longer UTEC. I'm retired.
Oh, you're retired. All right. We're going to add retirement to that. Thanks for the information.
I'm retired, so you could call me an occupational physician.
Occupational physician. All right. Thank you very much, Professor Bailey. Good to have you with us as well. Dr. Bisesor Mackenzie, you were making some important point in terms of the demographics. Would you want to finish your thought?
Well, I think we would have said that where the parishes that we're seeing most cases, which would be the parishes that have been mostly affected by the hurricane. So there is increased likelihood that there is more debris, garbage that is there that needs to be cleaned up, and more breeding sites.
Mm-hmm.
Also in those areas that there would be more water on the ground, and more people going out unprotected in that water. Also in those areas you would have less security of potable water, so persons have to be careful to take measures to make their water clean. And then we would have also said that what we are seeing is certainly more males, which is, has always been that we see more males,
Mm-hmm.
males and 2 females post Melissa. And this could be contributed to that more men tend to be out on the ground, maybe fixing, repairing, end up with cuts, bruises,
Right.
etc. Also, that more men tend to present when things get serious, rather than coming out early when we are able to treat and this disease can be treated. And then also that we are seeing more persons in the 20 to 29 age group and the 50 to 59 and 60. Again, men, of course, in these age groups, which may be likely because you have, as I said, more men out on the ground. And then you also have the farmers, who are the group that we traditionally would see more cases of leptospirosis in the fields.
Yeah.
Of course, the protection of the feet and just protective gear means some of them may have lost this during the hurricane, and many of them are out there without these kind of protective gear.
Yes, and I'm happy you segued there, Dr. Bisesor Mackenzie, as we bring in Professor Bailey. Prof, in the aftermath of this hurricane, what are your major occupational concerns in regards to leptospirosis and its outbreak?
Okay. Then thank you very much for having me. Very happy to be joined by my colleague,
Yes.
Dr. Bisesor Mackenzie. Unfortunately, I couldn't hear what she said. Perhaps what I'm going to say might be a repetition of what she said, because she's quite knowledgeable in.
Yeah, Professor? Not hearing Prof again. Having some connectivity issues with Prof. Prof, are you still there? Can you hear me? All right, still having some difficulties. Dr. Bisesor Mackenzie, still with you. Signs and symptoms of leptospirosis and the treatment options that you just mentioned.
So most cases are going to be mild cases. We would say that 90% of cases are mild, and it may not even end up at the doctor. And these mild symptoms that persons have are fever, headache, muscle pain, and weakness. And pretty much, that looks like almost viral illnesses that we have. Flu, which is around at this time, dengue, which is a possibility of having increased cases.
Mm-hmm.
So the symptoms are really very generic, and it could be anything when you start off having those symptoms. As I said, fortunately for most of those illnesses, they will have mild cases, and they will treat at home, and they recover. But leptospirosis is a bacteria,
Right.
and therefore, if you do present at the doctor with symptoms that are suggestive of leptospirosis, and on a background of possible exposure, then you would be presumed, the diagnosis would be a suspected case of leptospirosis, and you'll be treated with antibiotics. And these antibiotics are antibiotics that are available in country. We don't have any shortage of those antibiotics. And so persons must visit their doctors, your private doctor, your health center, or your hospital. Just to say that about 75% of all health centers in those areas are back to routine schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And for the others that are not back to routine schedule, then you have outreaches and mobile teams that are going out into those communities. So the access is there. I don't want persons to stay at home because they think that there is no availability. And as I said, for those communities that are in remote and not able to get down, we are trying our best to have mobile teams out. But just to go on to say that you can have severe illness, association with redness of the eyes, little or no urine when your kidneys start to become impacted, yellowing of the eyes when your liver may become impacted, you will coughing up blood or having shortness of breath if the lungs become affected. You can have bleeding, and some of the blood cells are affected. You can have low platelets that can result in bleeding. So you can have bleeding, vomiting up blood, or passing blood in the stool, or as I said, coughing up blood. You can also have spread to the lining around the brain, causing infection there, which result in headaches, neck pain, neck stiffness.
Mm-hmm.
You have a skin rash, and you can also have abnormal rhythm of the heart, when that can lead to heart failure. So symptoms, I mean, they can be very, very mild. Persons must be cautious because, as I said, we are seeing a increased number of cases. It is treatable. Visit your doctor. You can be treated. Certainly, if you're having any severe symptoms, you should just head to the hospital because you may need to get intravenous antibiotics. You see that we have had some deaths, and this is because persons would have presented late. By that time, they would have the disease would have been spread to involve multiple organs, which makes it more difficult to treat. So early attention is important. It is treatable. Again, just want to remind the public, it is treatable and it must seek attention. Just in terms of prevention, protection, and I'm sure if Professor Bailey was still on, he would
He's
talk
not on, so you might have to say, fill that gap.
talk about the protective gear that persons should be wearing out in the water. I mean, I was coming from Savlamar yesterday, and I passed two persons sitting on a board platform in the middle of a pool of water.
Wow.
One person had on slippers, and the other person had on proper footwear. And, you know, I drove through Hanover maybe about a week ago, and I was in the town, and I looked at people's feet, and I saw a lot of slippers. And I know that persons would have lost a lot of their belongings during the storm. But if you can't protect your feet, do not go in the water. Do not go into the water because it can cause severe illness and, you know, and have you end up in hospital, which you do not want at this time. So protection is key. Protection of your feet. Cover any scrapes, bruises as well. Wear gloves, particularly for those persons that are out there that are cleaning. A lot of cleaning crews going in from Kingston and from other parishes.
Yes.
They have to make sure that they're carrying their gloves, that they're carrying their boots, that they're properly covered, you know, so that they're not going to be stepping into infected waters and getting it into any broken skin or risk transmitting it to their hands or to their faces.
But Doc, there are persons. I mean, it's a Category 5 hurricane, and there are persons who have lost literally everything. Many of them would not have gloves or boots to wear, and literally, in order to survive, they have to, walk through water, as you just mentioned. What do you say to such individuals?
I mean, what can you say?
Is there any alternative to it, to the boots, for example, that you want to recommend?
wrap, some people will wrap their feet in plastic, put on a plastic bag. I mean, we saw we made a lot of inventions.
Yes.
Just COVID for masks.
Right.
Can put a plastic bag around their shoes. I would say to make sure to try to wear a shoe though, not a slippers.
Right.
So for the people who are coming from Kingston, make sure you carry shoes and water boots if you can for your family members. For the persons who the donor agencies that are bringing in items, those are some of the things that they have to look at. But the plastic bags can cover your feet and you wrap it around to try to prevent the exposure to water. And the same thing with gloves. I mean, if you don't, even in my home, sometimes I have to put a plastic bag on my hands when I don't have a glove.
Right, right. Tonya, make fashion.
It's not make fashion. That's how
Yes, yes.
Nothing have to happen right now.
Yes.
So the protection of yourself is very, very important. And then now there's a matter of you're making your water safe. We have to assume persons that are in those parishes, I would say to you to assume that the water is not safe and to boil your water. Okay? We know that the restoration of the normal supplies of water is happening. I know that a lot of the donor agencies have put up water purification plants and are giving out some personal water purification bags that persons can use. But if you don't have access to that and you can't get bottled water, boil your water, and can add bleach, drops of bleach. I mean, a lot of persons are giving out those as well. Some of the care packages will have in hand sanitizer, 2 drops of bleach to a liter of water, and mix it well, leave for half an hour, and the water will be safe. When you boil the water, allow it to boil up for a minute, cover and let it cool, and you store your water in a clean, covered container.
Got to leave it there. Got to leave it there, Doc. But thanks so very much for joining us, and thanks for the information, and all the best as you give leadership throughout this difficult time.
Say in closing, for persons who are hearing, there are a lot of persons who can't hear. They must make sure when they visit their relatives, they pass on these information to them.
Okay, well said. Well said.
All right.
Well said. Dr. Bisesa Mackenzie, who is the Chief Medical Officer. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
The Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
7:31.
Hi, I'm Stephen Price, VP and General Manager of Flow. Jamaica stands tall. No matter the challenge, we rise together with resilience that keeps our island moving forward. And Flow stands right beside you. We are restoring the hardest hit communities, strengthening every connection, and introducing new technology like satellite-powered solutions, voice over Wi-Fi to help keep you connected wherever you are. We are building a network ready for progress, ready for stronger relationships, ready to take Jamaica forward. This is your network. Flow. This is Jamaica's network.
This is a national call for nurse volunteers. Jamaica must recover after Hurricane Melissa. Our communities must heal. If you're a licensed registered nurse, enrolled assistant nurse, or registered midwife, your skills can make a life-saving difference. Join the recovery effort. Contact the Health Emergency Operations Center at 8881-LOVE. That's 888-6653, or visit moh.gov.jm to sign up today. Let's heal together. Let's rebuild together. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, I further my education, and I make mama proud.
Save so you can make the part, travel part, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Big project, no problem. At H&L Rapid True Value, this Black Friday brings big savings with deals for days on houseware, lighting, tiles, and tools, helping you save early and make that next home project feel easy. Keep the savings rolling with Bobo Paint on Easy Care and Painters Select. Plus, great prices on building supplies, lumber, ply, and more. H&L Rapid True Value. Start right. Start here. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at some news headlines to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. First of all, tributes continue to pour in for the late reggae legend, Jimmy Cliff. Also, Mandeville Regional Hospital operating above capacity following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Also, we see that Jamaica's murder tally surpasses the 600 mark. Royalton Hotels and Resorts announces updated reopening timelines. Guyana to start exporting fresh produce to CARICOM. And finally, Putin backs U.S. peace plan which sees Ukraine cede land. Those are some of the major headlines in Jamaica and across the world. Coming up next, we'll share some of the feedback from our social media question. Have you noticed an increase in sanitation issues in your community since Hurricane Melissa? What concerns do you have about diseases like leptospirosis? We're asking you to leave your comments on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Love 101 FM Jamaica or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
We drink it, we bathe in it, we depend on it. But water is so much more than a physical necessity. Across the Bible and in cultures worldwide, water heals, destroys, and purifies. Steve sits down with Daniel Dodd and Bishop Garth Minot to explore the deep spiritual significance of water. From baptism to deliverance, from ancient river deities to modern anointed water practices, how does this simple element carry so much power? And what does Scripture truly reveal? The water on the earth today has been on the earth for millions of years. Join us Tuesday, November 25 at 10 a.m. for a thought-provoking, refreshing dive into the power of the waters on The Rock, here on the family station, Love 101.
Eternal Father.
Right now, our brothers and sisters in Western Jamaica are hurting. Homes have been destroyed. Families are struggling to start again after Hurricane Melissa.
Love 101 FM, the family station, is calling on you to join hearts and hands in love in action.
You can make a difference today by donating cash or kind to help rebuild lives.
We're collecting non-perishable food items,
Bottled water,
baby supplies,
hygiene products,
toiletries,
cleaning supplies,
bedding, tarpaulins, and small household items.
Drop off your donations of cash and kind at Love 101 FM or participating partner churches island-wide.
Every can, every package, every dollar helps bring hope to the hurting. Together, we are Love in Action. Love 101 FM,
the family station.
welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Darren for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. Have you noticed an increase in sanitation issues in your community since Hurricane Melissa? What concerns do you have about diseases like leptospirosis? Darren?
All right. So, Cherry from Spanish Town says, in my community, we always try our best to do our cleanup, especially on the avenue I live. For leptospirosis, I know contamination can be deadly. And Monica says, my observation in the wake of what Dr. McKenzie said about protective gear, shoes, gloves, the National Solid Waste Sanitization workers tend to not wear gloves when collecting the garbage. I've had to mention it to them on occasions.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies, for the comments you sent. And that's very, very important that the gloves are worn by all concerned. And so as we segue into the second watch, according to the Jamaica Observer, concerns have been raised about food contamination since the passage of Hurricane Melissa. With power outages, flooding in markets, and damaged food storage facilities, many Jamaicans are unsure which foods are still safe to eat and which may pose serious health risks. Well, to discuss these concerns, we have online Dorothy Campbell, Communication Specialist of the Consumer Affairs Commission, and Dr. Kimberly Somerville, Nutritionist and General Practitioner. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having us again, the Consumer Affairs Commission. We're always happy
Great.
to share and inform our consumers.
Good to have you, Ms. Campbell. Dr. Somerville with us? Not hearing you clearly through the channel. Go again, Doc.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, good. Hearing you now. Good. Welcome as well. All right.
Okay.
I'll begin with you, Dr. Campbell. Dorothy Campbell. What are some of the major food safety concerns and complaints that your organization has been having since the passage of Hurricane Melissa?
Well, let me first say that I'm not a food safety expert. However, the Consumer Affairs Commission has the right to protect, educate, inform, and resolve complaints of the consumers, as well as conduct market surveillance of what is there in terms of access, quality, price, and availability. So our role is to inform and educate consumers on what the experts, such as the Public Health Department of the Ministry of Health and so on, has been doing in the field. So they have gone out and they're currently out there and they have found that there are some risks since Melissa that consumers are being exposed to. And so our role is to re-emphasize some of those risks. So we want to say to consumers, be careful about eating raw vegetables that may have been harvested in flooded fields, from flooded fields. Those may be the risk that you may be exposed to leptospirosis and so on, because flood waters usually, as we say in the country, wash out the rat nest. So if wherever they have burrowed and lived in the ground, the flood waters would have washed them into the field. We're saying to consumers, when you hear the alerts from the Public Health Department about meat consumption and the verification of those safe meats, listen carefully. Carcasses were found in a motor vehicle en route in Manchester. It means that persons are now taking animals that may have been drowned and are slaughtering them. So we're saying to consumers, consume meats only from recognized, reputable distributors, right? Ensure that the meats are stamped and verified with a health stamp, those that are in the market, right? The foods that you're consuming in terms of your tubers and so on, ensure that the dangers with those mostly is rot and possibly rodents may have gotten to them if they've been left in the field. So what we're saying to consumers is there are some things that you will not be able to see with your eyes. But however, use your smarts, talk to your neighbors, and make sure that you do not consume any of those foods. For the manufactured foods, we say do not eat from cans that are rusty, show rust marks, dented marks, are bloated, or the expiry dates have been removed or erased. Because food poisoning it can be deadly, right? In another interview elsewhere, the host told me that he had a friend who was in the hospital for 3 weeks because of that simple, and that's an adult. So you can imagine the level of risk for babies and the elderly.
Stick a pin start right there, Dr. Campbell. We want to bring in Dr. Somerville before the break. Doc, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Great. From your standpoint as a nutritionist and a general practitioner, what are the concerns that you have post Melissa?
Okay, so anytime that we're having a post-hurricane issue, we want to consider the electricity as well as the water. So if it is a case that you don't have electricity for a period of time, then we know that perishable items like meat, fish, dairy, as well as cooked foods cannot be stored properly to prevent the overgrowth of bacteria. So that's one thing you want to consider. Then we also want to consider the fact that we may not have safe water to wash our hands properly during and before food preparation. As Dr. Campbell was alluding to, we also want to consider that water may not be safe. Even if it's coming from the pipe, your tank, or your well, or your river, there may be contaminants there that you can't see or smell, and it should be sanitized adequately before cooking and washing and, drinking.
And that's across the nation, Doc?
Yes. Pardon?
Yes.
Across the nation, even in the eastern parts of Jamaica?
Even in the eastern part, because there are some places in eastern St. Andrew that have been greatly affected as well, and their water supply would have been contaminated.
Stick a pin right there, Doc. We're up on a break. Ladies, we'll be right back.
Grace is giving shoppers discounts on over 20 of your favorite Grace products when you cash out at participating supermarkets. The time that Grace could move is...
It's just about 7:46.
Tell me where you get the money transfer. Alliance. Where you get the money transfer. Alliance. Where you get the money transfer. Money move like a bird, like a plane, it's a blur. Money quick, money fast, money reach in a flash. This your agent no run out of cash. Pay the rent, pay the bills, or buy the groceries. Pick up all for the cash and pay the school fee.
Money when and where you need it. Alliance MoneyGram and Ria Money Transfer. Convenient locations island-wide. A member of Sagicor Group Jamaica.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Jamaica's largest house selection just got even bigger. Discover what's new at Active Home Center. With our latest arrivals, it's easier than ever to make your space truly unique. Explore ocean blues, botanical greens, and soft sandy neutrals that bring a calm, effortless vibe. From bold patterns to sleek, large format tiles in glossy or matte finishes, every room makes a statement. Shop now at Active Kingston and Montego Bay. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
We know you're making every dollar work harder, choosing carefully, buying what you need, and making it stretch as far as you can. That's why Grace is giving shoppers discounts on over 20 of your favorite Grace products when you cash out at participating supermarkets. It's our way of helping you sweeten moments together, share more meals, and take care of the people you love. Make a good move with quality savings from Grace.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and this is the second watch looking on food safety after the storm. Food safety after the storm. So far, we have been told to beware of eating raw vegetables, harvested in flooded fields, also the whole matter of meat consumption, ensure that health stamps are on the meat, In terms of tubers, look for the dangers in regards to rot. Do not eat from rusty cans, and beware of dates that have been expired or erased. And also, the whole matter of electricity and water consumption and the perishable items. We must be very careful how we handle those. In so doing, we have online Dr. Kimberly Somerville, who is a nutritionist and general practitioner, and Dorothy Campbell, communication specialist of the Consumer Affairs Commission. Before the break, Dr. Somerville, you were telling us about some of the concerns you have in regards to post Melissa. Please continue.
Okay, sure. So when it comes to electricity and the fact that we may not have refrigeration, the fact is that usually when we have foods in our refrigerator, they're kept at a safe temperature. So after electricity is gone, we really don't want to consume any food from the fridge after about 4 hours. And that's regarding the fact that you may not be opening and closing the fridge, because if you do that, then it gets really warm and the temperature then becomes unsafe. If it is frozen food, however, it can last and be safe for up to 1 to 2 days. So that is fine, but always ensure that you're cooking your food after freezing adequately as well. When it comes to our water, because of the sanitation issue and the possible contaminants, we want to ensure that we are not just washing, but we want to sanitize the water. So sanitizing the water can be from either boiling or using unscented bleach. So when you boil, I know sometimes we say, all right, just boil it for 2 minutes, but it doesn't mean to just put it on the stove for 2 minutes. It means allow it to get to a rolling boil and keep it on the stove for 2 minutes boiling or even up to 10 minutes. That allows for most of the contaminants to be degraded so you won't get any foodborne or waterborne illnesses. If you don't have anywhere to boil the water, then you can use bleach. And that usually comes at a measurement of about 1 teaspoon of bleach to 5 gallons of water. You want to stir that up properly for about a minute, let it sit for more than 30 minutes, and then thereafter that would be considered safe to drink, wash clothes, as well as to cook.
Yeah, I've always been intrigued by the whole matter of the use of bleach, because normally associate bleach with consumption in the human body. How does that work?
So it really depends on the measurements, right? So of course you don't want to drink bleach because that is very unsafe. But when you're putting it in a ratio of 1 teaspoon to 5 gallons, then the amount of bleach is that small that yes, it can deter the contaminants like bacteria and viruses, but it will not harm you when you consume it.
Interesting. Dorothy Campbell, if consumers believe they have purchased unsafe food, what recourse do they have based on the law of the land?
Well, let me say this. The authority is within the Ministry of Health, Public Health Department, within the Bureau of Standards, and within the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority. Our role as the Consumer Affairs Commission is if those regulatory bodies have not preempted the process and or you made an error in purchasing something from a place that is not reputable. So you want to go back. We recommend you go back to the purchase, the place of purchase. If you are not getting satisfactory resolution, then you need to come to the Consumer Affairs Commission with your documentation and your receipt. We consider that the consumer's ID. You state clearly exactly what happened, and we will then begin the investigation in order to verify. But we must underscore the point that food safety is a very delicate subject matter, because once some time has elapsed, or if you have consumed the item, it is very difficult to prove that it is the deleterious effect of a poorly prepared meal and or an item that you bought that has caused your illness or any other.
So, at what stage does the
impact.
doctor come in, the general
Right.
practitioner in that process?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So persons should take care of themselves first and ensure that you retain all your documentation for that process. Then you file a complaint, because once you start the complaint process, that part of the information that is necessary to prove that you've been harmed and or that food was in that state when you received it. It's very difficult. So use your smartphones and make your videos and take pictures, because the timestamp, the digital timestamp, will be your evidence as well as a traditional receipt.
As you
So
mentioned,
we will investigate, but we want you to take care of yourselves first.
yes.
So if you're feeling sick after consuming, go to the doctor.
As you mentioned, receipt, Dorothy Campbell. As you know, some of these receipts, as soon as you actually receive it, the print is gone. I mean, it fades
Right.
away quickly. How do you deal with a situation like that?
Well, we advise consumers, before you even walk away from that counter or that transaction, just take out your smartphone. And the same way we capture every little thing we see.
Mm-hmm.
We want consumers to use the device to take care of their business and take care of themselves. So while we have been recommending that the establishments change out these thermal prints and so on and give longer lasting, the old time receipts used to last much longer, the digital receipts. We say to consumers, protect yourselves. Just put down your receipts, whether it's a thermal receipt from your card, your bank card, or from the cash register. Just lay them on the counter and take a picture immediately as you receive them. And that way you will always have a record, because we will accept those receipts as valid once you show the timestamp. And it reflects exactly what you are complaining about.
Yeah.
But I just want to say something quickly. Dr. Somerville mentioned the water issue. And I want to say to a lot of communities are still having standing water in their communities. And a lot of the communities that are totally devastated are using the standing water to walk, and I've seen that, walk through to get to the site where they get the relief. They're also using the water for their own purposes. And I'm saying to consumers, if you have a transistor radio and you haven't received electricity yet, share the word. Or you're listening to an app because you have Starlink, share the word with your neighbors. Do not walk or let your children walk in those standing waters. It's been a month now, and we've had intermittent rains. But I'm telling you, all that bacteria and all that in that water is now concentrated to a level that will cause serious illnesses. So the public health department is going out and advising communities to stay away from these waters. And in some communities, people have been finding baby crocodiles. I think it's crocodiles we have, and so on in the water. So it's very dangerous to have your family and your children in these standing water.
Yes, very important. Dr. Somerville, what are some of the major signs and symptoms associated with the consumption of contaminated food? And what should persons do or not do if they have consumed such?
Okay, so one of the first things that you may want to note is that a lot of times when persons come in with gastroenteritis or symptoms thereof, they might say, boy, I didn't eat anything different today, or I ate something at home. However, when symptoms occur, it actually happens about 2 to 3 days after you have eaten or consumed that contaminated water or drink. Right? Or food. So that's just one thing to note. Then, in terms of the symptoms, you may notice that you have an upset stomach, so you feel nauseous. You may be vomiting more than usual. Of course, you don't want to be vomiting at all, but then you'll have loose stool as well. You can have abdominal cramps, fever, headache, and if it is that you are having blood in your diarrhea, or you're finding that you can't keep down any fluids, and your fever is more than, say, 100 degrees Celsius, then definitely you'd want to seek medical attention.
Yes. And in Jamaica, we tend to rush to home remedies and even herbal usage. What is your take on that?
Well, in terms of home remedies, the only one that I would say is basically rest and hydration, because you really don't know what type of contaminant was there. So you may have a virus or you may have a bacteria, right? So hydration, especially when it comes to water, of course you want to have safe water, as I was describing before, but you can make your own rehydration salts. So that would be at a 1 liter of safe water, and you would put 2 level tablespoons of sugar as well as 1 teaspoon of salt, right? And then you mix that up properly, and you can sip that during the time that you may be having the vomiting or the diarrhea to ensure that you're not dehydrated.
So wait, Doc, could you repeat that, please? 'Cause
I was
this is the
about
first
to
time
ask her
hearing
to
that.
repeat that.
Yeah, first time hearing that one. Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. So oral rehydration salts, yes, they can be gotten at the pharmacy, but if that's not available to you, you can make your own rehydration salts. So that would be 1 liter of safe water. You're going to mix with that 2 leveled tablespoons, I should say, of sugar, as well as a half teaspoon of salt. Mix that up. You're going to be getting your sodium, your chloride. These are the things that you would be losing during vomiting and having diarrhea. So some of these things will be replaced, especially with the glucose from the sugar.
All right, very quickly, the water there, room temperature or boiled?
It can be, so remember that when we're wanting to have safe water, we're going to be boiling it
Anyway,
for about
okay.
6 to 10 minutes,
Okay, all
putting
right.
that at room temperature to
Got
sit.
you.
So it really can be boiled and then cooled, and then you use it from there.
Got you. Ladies, thank you so very much for the informative discussion we have
thank
had.
you.
And all
Thank
the
you,
best.
Dr.
in your
Somerville. I
endeavors.
learned something. Thank you.
Yeah, we all did. Thank you. All right. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for discussion of topical and controversial issues. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This, of course, has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Yashika Nevers, and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint, return you to Love in the Morning with Darren Mitchell.
Experience the art of living insurance with Jay and Life. The time is...
It's now 8 o'clock, my friends, and you're now invited